I woke up to silence, the kind of silence that made me know something was different, the kind that hummed with intention, with a charge in the air. I looked over and my husband was gone, which was strange because he always stayed in bed a little longer than me, especially on my birthday. And I stretched out across the sheets, still warm from his body, wondering if maybe he was in the kitchen preparing pancakes or something sweet to start my day. But when I stepped out of bed, there was no scent of syrup, no sound of sizzling, just a single note left on the nightstand, written in his sharp slanted handwriting. It said, "Only get ready, wear nothing under the dress I chose for you, and be downstairs at exactly noon." And something about that note sent a shiver down my spine because this was not the usual kind of surprise he gave me. And I opened the closet, and there it was, a dress I hadn't seen before, black, tight, silky, and short. It clung to my fingers as I held it, and my heart started to beat faster. A part of me hesitated, but curiosity and a spark of something wicked pushed me to slip it on my bare skin, buzzed as I did what he asked. And the feel of the fabric against me, with no barrier, made me ache in ways I hadn't in a long time. The clock ticked closer to 12, and I walked down the stairs, slowly, heels clicking against wood, each step echoing with anticipation. And when I reached the bottom, I saw him standing there in a crisp shirt, sleeves rolled just enough to show the veins in his forearms, and he smiled that slow, knowing smile that made my breath hitch. But he wasn't alone. There were 3 of his closest friends with him, all of them watching me with eyes that lingered too long. And then he said, "Happy birthday, baby," and his voice dropped lower. "I told them what you've been craving. I told them how much you needed more than what I alone could give. And I should have said, something should have stopped them. But I couldn't, because something in me had already surrendered to the moment. And before I could think, his hands were on me, pulling me close, whispering against my skin that today I didn't need to choose, that today I would be theirs, and only theirs." The living room was warm, but it wasn't just from the sun pouring through the windows. It was from the way their eyes stayed on me, as though I was something to be devoured, something forbidden, finally offered. And my husband was the first to move, brushing my hair back from my shoulder, letting his lips trace the line of my neck, while his friends stepped closer, each bringing something different, one with gentle hands, one with teasing fingers, one with a voice so deep it made my legs weak. And they circled around me slowly, like wolves, knowing they'd already won. And my husband led them, guiding their touches, showing them the places I liked best. And I didn't resist, couldn't resist, because every glance, every caress lit fires across my skin. And when one of them lifted me easily into his arms, I gasped, clinging to him as he carried me to the couch, where they all followed. Every movement felt like a secret, like a confession I hadn't known I was aching to make. And they took turns but never left me alone, always watching, always close, always touching, while my husband sat back for a moment, just watching, his eyes filled with something dark and proud. And when he joined again, it was different, hungrier, deeper, as though seeing me like this awakened something he had buried for too long. And I called his name, begged for more, but they didn't let me settle, didn't let me catch my breath. And the room blurred into heat and sweat and sounds I'd never made before, sounds that came from a place deep within me. And when finally it slowed, when they lay around me tangled and breathless and silent, I looked at my husband, and he kissed my forehead and said, "I knew you needed this. I knew you needed to remember how alive you are." And I smiled, not just because I was satisfied, not just because I was sore in all the best ways, but because for once I was seen, I was known and loved. exactly the way I'd never dared to ask for.